They haven't taken control of Congress just yet, but with the power shift here in Washington, Democrats are starting to flex their muscles. At the top of their agenda, Iraq. And joining us now, Democratic Senator Evan Bayh of Indiana. He's a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator, thanks very much for coming in.
Good to be with you, Wolf.
Listen to what Senator Carl Levin, Democrat of Michigan, who's going to be the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, said yesterday about U.S. troop withdrawals from Iraq. Listen to this.
Most Democrats share the view that we should pressure the White House to commence the phased redeployment of U.S. troops from Iraq in 4 to 6 months.
Are you on the same page with Senator Levin to begin that phased redeployment within 4 to 6 months?
Wolf, I think we need to be very direct with the Iraqis and put the pressure right on them and say, look, this is your country. Only you can resolve the problems that are tearing you apart. And to date, you've simply not demonstrated either the capacity or the will to do that. And so we are not going to stay in your country forever. We're going to begin to withdraw our troops. Now, the timing of that will depend on you. And if you get your act together and show some promise of being able to stabilize your country, we'll give you some more time to do that. But if you simply are unable or unwilling to make the choices that only you can make, there's no hope for this situation, and we'll leave sooner rather than later. So I do believe we need to tell them we're not staying forever, and that if they don't get their act together, we're going to withdraw sooner rather than later.
But this timetable that Senator Levin laid out, start that withdrawal within the next 4 to 6 months. Is that you want to be as specific as Senator Levin, in other words?
Well, to begin it in the next 4 to 6 months, to show them that we're serious, that we mean business, that they've got to get their act together and focus on getting the job done. Yes, absolutely. How long it will take to completely redeploy our troops, I think, is going to be more dependent upon events on the ground, and hopefully they'll begin to do better and show the capacity and the will to try and stabilize their country. But, you know, General Abizaid, all the commanders, Wolf, will tell you there is no purely military solution to this. What is driving the insurgency in Iraq today are unresolved political disputes among Iraqis. And no matter how long we stay, no matter how many Americans die, no matter how much money we spend, this will not have a happy outcome unless they do their part. And they're simply not doing that now. So I think a real wake-up call to them, to letting them know we're not there forever and to show them we mean business to begin that process, yes, I think that's in order.
It seems that everyone agrees the situation in Iraq is getting worse by the day. The violence, the horrendous reports that we're hearing all the time. Earlier this year in June of 2006, you were among those Democrats who voted against a resolution that would have had a redeployment by the end of July 2007. A lot has happened over the past 6 months. Does this election, the Democrats winning in the Senate and the House, give you the kind of strength, the cover you need to push forward a more assertive U.S. policy towards Iraq?
Yes, it does, Wolf. And first, you say that everyone says that things aren't going as well as they should in Iraq. I'm reminded of something that the president said just weeks ago when he said, I think this is a direct quote, that we are winning in Iraq. Hopefully with a new Secretary of Defense, we'll get a greater sense of realism about events on the ground. And hopefully now we will be able to do our part to convince the administration that to strengthen our country, to meet more important security threats to the United States, we need to begin the process of bringing closure to Iraq.
I've spoken over the past few days with some high-ranking officials in the administration, in the Pentagon, military and civilian, who've said to me they're relieved that Donald Rumsfeld is leaving because they feel that now there can be some changes. As long as he was there, he was such a powerful influence there. People were really afraid to come up with new ideas, and now with the new defense secretary coming in, they might be able to have the wherewithal, if you will, to change course. I assume you agree with that.
Wolf, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I mean, look, to err is human, but to persist in error, to refuse to acknowledge error or correct it, particularly when lives are at stake, that is a great human failing. And so there was just no willingness to re-examine the facts, to contemplate different courses of action. And so I hope that we'll have greater flexibility for the purpose of, maximizing the security of our country and bringing our presence in Iraq to some sort of an acceptable closure. And we look to Secretary-designate Gates for his thoughts, also to the Baker and Lee Hamilton Commission to see what ideas they may have. I think we need to put it all on the table and see what makes sense at this juncture. But it all has to begin with two things, Wolf. Number one, the Iraqis doing what only they can do, number one. And number two, an understanding by us that Iraq is important, but it is not the central front in the war on terror. And in fact, it is weakening us in dealing with Iran and Afghanistan and other things more closely associated with our security and combating global terror. That's why we need to begin the process of bringing closure to Iraq.
Senator, we're almost out of time, but a few political questions before I let you go. When are you going to announce the creation of an exploratory committee for a run for the White House?
Will you forgive me if it's not today?
Yes, I'll forgive you, but is it going to be in the next few days, the next few weeks? I assume that that's important to start raising some money to begin to explore whether or not you really want to do this.
Well, there are those practical things to consider, Wolf, and it's possible that sometime before the end of the year we'll have an exploratory committee to do some of the things that only an exploratory committee can do, but I wouldn't look to make a final decision or some sort of formal announcement until after the holidays. You're interested in this, I'm interested in this, some of your viewers are. My guess is that a majority of Americans would like a little rest from politics for the time being.
You want to tell us what you bring to the table if, in fact, you decide you want to run for president?
Well, I'm a successful two-term governor with national security experience who's won 5 times in a red state with a proven track record of uniting Democrats, independents, and Republicans to move my state and perhaps our country forward.
Is Hillary Clinton, your colleague from New York State, too polarizing to be elected president from a Democrat's perspective?
No, and I should make clear that I like Mrs. Clinton. But the question is, who maximizes our chances of being successful? Of course she can win, but the question is, who gives us the best chance?
And you're suggesting it would be you?
No, I'm not. But perhaps that's a discussion for another day.
Senator Bayh, thanks very much for coming in. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Wolf.
And up next, new developments in the nuclear standoff with Iran, and it involves mysterious traces of plutonium and uranium. The U.S. wants answers while Iran remains defiant. And is time running out for the Bush